All right. We ain't got time for all that. We ain't got time for all that counting. There's testimony to be read. We're getting caught up. All right. Now, Miss Dawn is still on the and it's Don Hughes, Dr. Don Hughes, to clarify. She's on the stand. We're going to make it larger. We're going to go over the testimony, get all caught up. This is the expert on ex trafficking, those type of victims. Listen, the reason I don't really care about what she says is not because she's not a great expert. It's because I think this testimony is going to have minimal impact because the defense successfully prevented her from being able to speak directly to Cassie and Cassie's situation because she didn't even talk to Cassie. Okay, so we're gonna kind of speed through what she's saying. We're gonna go through each of them, but I'm just letting you know I think it's going to have minimal impact with the jury simply because she's not allowed to testify as to Cassie specifically. She's only allowed to talk about these types of victims generally in her expert opinion. So who cares? All right. So earlier it says the prosecution states, hey, Your Honor, we emailed you the exhibit over the break. The exhibit was objected to as hearsay. It says the statement, thank you, I feel you, from Mr. Combs is ambiguous, and he could be saying thanks for the advice. Okay, we don't know who they're talking about, but this is the exchange just before the doctor gets back on the stand. The judge says, listen, we'll pick up talking about this objection after we finish up with Dr. Hughes, who they're going to finish up with today, because like I said, she really ain't talking about much of nothing. It is important, but again, it's the best witnesses are the witnesses that actually assess the witness. The best experts are the ones that actually get a chance to, for example, assess Cassie and would be able to speak directly towards Cassie's application or her personal experience dealing with the trafficking allegations or, those circumstances and stuff that didn't happen here. All right. Defense attorney says, you're with the American Psychological Association, which says you should only render an opinion after an examination, right? She says, where does it say that? Or it says, where? Dr. Hughes says, this is a different role. Defense, you've not gathered information about this case, right? I'm not rendering an opinion on any individual. See, I told y'all. She said, I'm not rendering an opinion on any individual. There's someone named Cassie, but you don't know what she said, right? I don't. You're testifying across the river in the Eastern District of New York, right? Right. And you say the same thing, even those cases are different, correct? It's to help jurors understand, Dr. Hughes says. But it's their job to consider their case, right? It says, people might go to a civil lawyer to make a little money, right? Objection. Let's move on. Bach. In civil litigation, you might look for malingering, correct? You gave a webinar about giving expert testimony, right? Yes, for battered woman. Let me show you exhibit such and such. Sidebar. The judge says sidebar. Says during the sidebar, an exhibit from the Star Island raid, baby oil and Astroglide. Oh, that's a lot. Oh my God. Here. Hold on, let me make sure you see all this. I got mine right here. Astroglide, pull your Astroglide out at the house. If you're at the house or if you're at work and you got some in your purse, pull out your Astroglide. A little Astroglide team here. Okay, for those who had a work meeting, don't worry, it's sanitized. For those who had a work meeting, you haven't missed much. We are finishing up with Dr. Hughes. She is the expert on abused women. She also previously testified in the Amber Heard case, saying in her expert testimony, in her opinion, was that Amber Heard was, in fact, a victim of abuse, even though a lot of us said, I don't know about that, because Amber allegedly was pooping in the bed trying to piss that man off. He was pooping trying to piss people off. She was. So that's what I'm saying. We're not really sure about it. This here, oh gosh. This is the baby oil. and nitrous oxide. Oh gosh. So that's baby oil. Is that a rubber ducky? A rubber ducky? Y'all look at the top left. That's a rubber ducky. A rubber ducky and nitrous. Let me tell you, nitrous oxide, that's laughing gas when you go to your dentist. I love nitrous oxide. It's the only reason I like going to the dentist. That and I don't like tartar and plaque buildup. Gosh, who knew? All right, let's proceed. Judge, jurors, we're going to send you to the jury room for a bit. The jurors leave. The judge, yesterday, Miss Shapiro submitted an exhibit ex parte, now reviewing a document. What should I focus on? Prosecutor, it shouldn't show this witness has a bias. Judge, she can be shown the document about training domestic violence advocates and asked if she remembers, but I won't admit the document as evidence until she denies it and it becomes a prior inconsistent statement. That's because that document is hearsay. Here's what they're trying to do. So apparently she gave the expert that's here being used to substantiate and kind of explain why Cassie may have stayed and why memory may have been different than certain things. Basically, she's explaining what happens to DV victims and how it works emotionally and mentally. She gave a training video to train other experts on how to be an expert witness in a DV related case, perhaps civil or criminal, I don't know. What the defense wants to do is submit some document from that presentation and use it to basically make her look like she has bias. What the judge is saying is, hey, that's hearsay. It can't come in unless you ask her if she's ever said whatever's on there. If she says, no, I never said that, then boom, you can put it in for impeachment. So here we are. Jury comes back in. Does this document refresh your recollection? She says, let me look at it more closely. The fourth part is about navigating cross-examination, right? Yes. Most of your income comes from court-related work, right? No, maybe half. You've raised your rate to $600. It's been the same for some time, but you raised it commensurate with others, she says. You've been retained hundreds of times, but you've never come into court and testified in defense of a man accused of an S crime. That's correct. I don't evaluate offenders. Hold on. This is where me, as a lawyer and attorney influencer, I got to come in and I got to explain something to you guys. They are big bottles. What the defense is trying to say, hey, you've testified in hundreds of cases and not one, never. Hold on, let me show you my big face. You need to look at me in my eye when I'm telling you this. They're saying, defense is trying to say you're biased because you've done hundreds of cases and not one, never have you ever testified on behalf of a man. She's saying, I don't evaluate offenders. She evaluates the women and the victims. Here's what happens. Here's why she probably never came in and did. One, she's saying she doesn't men, but also the truth is, here's what happens. When we want an expert, what happens is we call the expert, we send them some stuff and say, hey, could you just look over this and verbally tell me generally what you think your opinion would be? If it is opinion that does not substantiate our side, we simply pay them for their little verbal take, and we go on and we go find a different expert that will substantiate whatever it is we need to prove up our case. In other words, we're not going to pay you or hire you to F up our case. Duh. Especially not at no goddamn $600 an hour. So what I'm saying here is very likely she could have been hired or retained on the side of whatever woman and been told, like, we want you to evaluate this woman or give us your thoughts. Are you going to find her to be a victim? And she could have been like, not this one. Not Sarah. Sarah was fine. Ain't no wrong with Sarah. Sarah and him, it was mutual combat. Sarah, they used to drive each other crazy. It was a toxic relationship. Ain't nothing wrong with Sarah. She won't then be the testifying expert, because if she testified, she'd ruin the case. So I say that to say it doesn't mean she's biased for never having taking the side of the offender, it means she wasn't paid to do that. I hope that makes sense. It means the times that she would have done that, she only got paid to tell these people you don't have a case. Just like sometimes with me, sometimes people will pay me for a consultation, and I'll tell them, I'm sorry, but your statute of limitations passed, or this or that. So that's why I say that is actually normal. It is normal to have an expert that primarily testifies for one side or another, or where the numbers aren't equal, it's because when the other side, when it doesn't benefit that side, they just don't pay you for it. Also, as she said, she doesn't evaluate offenders. So then, and that would make sense, because if you are being hired to say, was this person a victim? You meeting the man, and hearing what he has to say doesn't necessarily help you determine if she believes. And it's also if she believes she was a victim. Like I said, she said Amber Heard was a victim. And like I said, I think the two of them were driving each other nuts. Amber Heard, drive each other nuts. Anyway, I think Amber Heard was pooping on him, pooping on his bed and driving him crazy. And he was being annoying to her. So let's keep going. We did these. You've been retained hundreds of times. Okay. You met with the prosecutor 6 times to prepare your testimony, right? Correct. Can we have a sidebar? Judge, you may. Again, it's not unusual to meet 6 times because this is your expert. And before they decide to even go to trial, they have to be certain that they can substantiate their allegation with the expert. If you ain't got no expert, you ain't got no case. So if at any point they felt during those 6 visits it was weak, that could have been why. So they just confirmed 6 times they met. Can we have a sidebar? Did you discuss the topics with the prosecutors? Dr. Hughes, with all due respect, it was mostly me educating them. But you know nothing about the case. Were you advising them on how to present evidence in a DV case? Ooh, this is a good one. Didn't you help them write briefs? Can we have a sidebar? Yes, but keep it brief, shorter than the last. Sidebar has not, in fact, been shorter. He says it's now been 6 minutes. She says it was me educating them, but you know nothing about the case. Were you advising them on how to present evidence in a DV case? Brilliant, 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 brilliant defense question. I love these questions. I call them home runs. When you on cross are able to ask a question where no matter what the answer is, it helps your case. So if the answer is, no, I wasn't advising them on that, it still puts in the mind of the jury, this is a DV case. Or if she says, yes, I was, then it really, slam dunker. It really helps. When I used to do teen court as a teenager, because I knew I wanted to be a lawyer, honey. When I'd be a prosecutor, a lot of times it was teens would volunteer to go there because in exchange you would get community service and you would be sentenced to terms where you literally had to serve on other teen court juries, but you wouldn't go to jail. So teens loved it. Well, when I was a prosecutor, my slam dunk question I used to love to ask after someone was caught stealing, and I'd say, well, why'd you steal such and such? And usually they say, because I want it. Then I would like flash whatever jewelry I have on. I said, do you want my necklace? And they go, no. I said, all right, good, ladies and gentlemen. That means he won't steal it. One time I said, do you want that juror's watch? And the judge was like, attorney, red wine. I was like, oh, because I wanted to be like, do you want that juror's watch? Yes, they're going to steal it, or no. And we say, oh, congratulations, juror. That means they won't steal it. But you can't do that. That's like over the bounds. Is there mock trials to pretend to be a lawyer as adults? I like law school, but don't want to go. You know what? We should do that. That should be a thing. It's not, but why couldn't it be? That actually could be. I mean, hell, if there's pickleball, we could have. Thank you so much, Jacqueline. Why not? We could have mock trial for grown-ups. I think actually, you know what? That'd be a fun thing to put together. Mm-hmm. Oh, really? Vivi said she did teen court too and got a scholarship for her time. Well, I like your county. That's way better. Diddy rolled over and took the deal behind the scenes. That's my theory. Okay, you guys, we got to go back to talking about this deal. So before lunch, I saw multiple people in the chat, and I've heard other influencers say that he was offered 15 years. Can someone share a case with us? I have not found that, and I do not believe it's true. I do not believe the offer was 15 years. Yes, there was an offer. I don't believe the offer was 15 years at all. I'm going to tell you why. 15 is the minimum for S trafficking, the minimum. When they give you a deal, they don't usually give you a deal for the minimum. Now, the minimum for the prostitution is 10 years. And we know for Rico, he's facing a lot. I don't believe that that offer was 15. 15 is too close to something he would take. I believe that offer was 20 and up. Because what they did say is the reason he declined is that the offer was basically the rest of his life. It was a number of years, but they said because of his age, whatever the offer was effectively him taking a life sentence. Yeah, I don't think it was too much work. You know what? Too much work to become one. I'm going to tell you. It depends on where you go to school. I went to Cornell. It was only work for 1 year. I acted a damn fool for the other two. And I had just found out I was cute. I found out I was cute like the year before. And so I met this guy. He was like first round draft pick in the Super Bowl. He would fly me everywhere. So my second year, my first year, I went to All-Star Weekend. Oh, that was wonderful. And then the next year, I did a whole semester in Atlanta, my hot behind. That was great. I was in Atlanta. I had a guy fly me to the Super Bowl, and then someone else flew me to All-Star Weekend, and I was doing that. So I really didn't do no work that year. And then third year, you can forget about it. My best friend had moved to Miami, and I was just running around. It was so bad. People would catch me on Spring. They would catch me on South Beach 2 weeks in a row. People were like, "Are you still in law school?" I was like, I'm still in row. Because when you go to Ivy League schools, you really don't have to go to class like that. If you just show up, you get at least a B plus. That's a 3.3. You graduated from Cornell with 3.3. You write your own ticket. All right, let's see. How's this little sidebar coming? It wasn't doing too good earlier. All right. Here we go. So they had the sidebar. They've come back from it. It said, did you discuss the topics with the prosecutors? Hold on. Let me pull this out. Okay, there we go. Did you discuss the topics with the prosecutors, Dr. Hughes? With all due respect, it was mostly me educating them. But you know nothing about the case. Were you advising them on how to present evidence in DV cases? Didn't you help them write briefs? Can we have a sidebar? Yeah, but keep it brief. Judge, sorry, that wasn't shorter. Miss Steiner says, you reviewed some filings to the court in this case. It was all related to the subject of your testimony, correct? Correct. In fact, we redacted. You did. Yeah, because here's the thing. When an expert is going to be, so there are certain discovery deadlines. So deadlines where you have to present the other side with evidence that you're going to later use to present at trial. One of the most important deadlines is your expert deadline. And with that is where you provide the expert report that's the basis of whatever they're going to testify to. So it would make sense. You would meet with prosecutors multiple times to make sure that that report is in proper finalized format, to make sure you're going to be meeting the proper deadlines, and to the extent anything needs to be explained or if there's going to be motions beforehand. And there were motions. In this case, there were motions because they wanted to limit her testimony. So it would make sense that prior to each motion, I'm going to go back to my expert and be like, hey, this is what I'm arguing. I just want to know, can you give me some more support? Can you give me a document to substantiate this or that? They're claiming X, Y, or Z, whatever it is. But it would make sense if you guys have a bunch of motions going back and forth that you're going to need more time to talk to your expert. That's all. I want to go to a Diddy party. Oh, well, I don't know. You might be able to. How'd you do it? I'm over here struggling to get my BA. Honestly, it was because I was younger. I always say, like, those who go back to school later, you are so focused. Even for me, taking the bar later. So I took New York and New Jersey first. I took each of those. And then like 3 years later, I took Texas. Texas was so much harder because I had like grown up responsibilities, bills, things to do. So yeah, hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much, Barry. So glad that you came. What would I do different if I was Diddy's lawyer? Shit. I think they're doing a good job with what they have. I don't think they have a lot. I mean, no. Let me clarify that. I think number one, they did a great job with limiting this particular witness's testimony. We're waiting for updates on her testimony, but they did a really, really good job. They basically took away all her power. The fact that she can't testify to coercion, that's the most important element of proving ST. They are doing a really good job of taking each witness and cutting them by the knees. I think the challenge is on Diddy's side is that it's just so easy to prove RICO, given that you only got to prove 2 of the 8 things occurred in 10 years. It's really easy. It says, yeah, we don't have an update here. It's really easy for them. This person writes, really disappointed in the government. They could have picked someone better instead of her. I give the point to the defense because I don't like the government's choice. I can understand that. Miss SpaceX said that. I can totally understand that. But I can guarantee you, when the government picked her, they had no idea that her testimony would be as limited as it is. That's why I said that's a win for the defense. I'm sure they had no expectation that the defense would argue these motions successfully, would be able to successfully argue these motions to limit her testimony. As well, what the defense did is they pulled up the other cases that she testified in, especially the R. Kelly case. They studied that mofo. They studied every freaking word that she testified to and tore it up. They probably used every word of that testimony and those testimony transcripts from the R. Kelly trial to say, she's not talking about this, scram. Get her out of here. And then they clearly were able to successfully get that testimony limited. So effectively, she's only here generally talking about DV people. I am curious why the prosecution didn't have her examine Cassie. I would have said, look, 2 of y'all, we're going to pay you overnight, at least spend a full business day talking with her and going over her records from rehab, her records from therapy. That's what I do with my experts. I used to be hired by Joe's Crab Shack to defend them in frivolous slip and falls and stuff. And so with the experts, I was like, when someone would be like, I slipped and I fell and I've got pain and suffering and emotional distress. Emotional distress, you say, give me your therapy records. People be so mad. I said, give me your therapy records. See, people want to get that emotional distress money, but what they don't want to do is turn over their therapy records. Why do you need that? Well, you said by you falling on this ranch dressing here on this floor, on this tartar sauce just ruined your whole life. That this tartar sauce didn't cause you to quit sleeping with your husband and has just really, has really just ruined what you're able to do with your life because of this damn tartar sauce you slipped and fell on. But then I get those records from the therapist. Come to find out their husband's been knocking them between the washer and dryer for a good 5, 10, 15, 20 years. So then I can argue this didn't cause you emotional distress. You've been had emotional distress. You got a terrible life. Your husband hates you. Your dog hates you. Your last husband, this is your third husband. Your other husband, he's in jail for murder. And the one before him, he left you for your best friend. All these being the therapy records. I guess my point is, EH said, I'd give you a list of every girl who had broke my heart. There's my therapy records. It's just, I'm saying that, it can be really hard on the other side. You want to make sure that whoever's going to be your expert has as much backstory on the person on both sides, prosecution and the defense side, so they can really attack it. Someone asked a good question and said, how did they limit her testimony so much? So what it is an expert can only speak on things they have personal experience on, or where they are an expert on this issue to a reasonable degree of medical certainty, right? It has to be both. Reasonable degree of medical certainty, and you have to be able to show that you personally evaluated this situation. The issue is this person never evaluated Cassie. Hello? Come on. If you never, and my thing is, even if you thought you could get it in, you're going to get mollywopped on cross-examination, as is happening right now, due to the fact that you never, here we are, the fact that you never personally sat down with Cassie, right? Y'all tell me in the jury, I don't care which side you're on, Diddy's or hers. I feel like we'd all want to see a expert who has experience. Smash that like button, guys. So we want to see people who have experience that actually spent at least some time with the star witness that you are testifying to. How else can we fill our law passions without going to law school? There's a number. Court reporter. You can be an expert. Private investigator. That actually is really fun, especially if you're like me and you're nosy. Can they recall her? There'd have to be something new that happened. I don't think so. That is rough. I'm glad they still have their auntie and you look out for them. Oh. ChatGPT has your therapy records. So basically you help companies shaft people who got hurt. I'd rather be a public defender. So you like being poor. Good for you. That's one way to think about it, Monica. Or it could be that when they did the wrong thing, I told them you're doing the wrong thing and this is what you should do instead. Or that it could be, for example, we had the case where a slip and fall was staged. I was able to obtain the evidence of that. And then I went back to them and said, your client needs to drop this case, or, your client needs to drop this case or we're filing fraud charges. Which one do you want? Which one do you want? Which one do you want? Because I feel sorry for contingency fee lawyers whose clients are scammers. I've been scammed before. I had a client who came to me, acted like they had this great case. I get the footage. Didn't that happen to him? And that poor contingency fee lawyer ends up, in my case, I was working on that case for 2 years before I realized I was being scammed. In this case, I think that attorney had it maybe 3 months, and then they were able to get out of it, didn't lose any money because the footage that we showed that their client was a scammer. So, yep. If you do go become a public defender, that's awesome. And let me know, contact me. I will try to help you go to a school that has grant programs and has, like my school, has public interest, so that when you go work at that public defender's office, you don't have to pay back your loans as long as you are there. And then after 10 years, they'll be forgiven. Because I believe if you're doing the work of the Lord, you shouldn't have to be paying back your student loans at the same time. Damn. What part of Texas do I practice? All over. I do wrongful death, personal injury. I represent plaintiffs, victims against corporations. So I go get salad and the prosecution is losing the case. Here, let's see if we got an update. It's not that they're losing. It's that their expert is very limited in her testimony and it's not given what needs to be gave. It ain't given what needs to be gave. It's As we get ready to switch witnesses, though, I do have a little treat for y'all. I got a little treat. Hold on. I have some of the best friends. Y'all know I was just talking about how I had my little NFL buddies that would fly me around so that I didn't really go, when I was in law school and I'd be playing around, wouldn't really go into class, didn't really have to. One of them just texted me. I love them. Because I'm like a little bit homeless right now. And so he said I could stay by him for free. That's wonderful. It's not that homeless. I'm just trying to get the hell out of America. So I don't know where I want to go next. If you're in another country, let me know which one. Oh, here we go. Let me know which one, because, okay, here we go. I've got this. I got the video of I wanted to do captions. Let me see if I can. I did do the video of my dad as we're waiting. But let me see. I'm going to try to add some captions because my dad is rural country, so it's kind of hard to understand him. All right, let's see if we got an update on this expert's testimony. I really want her to hurry it up. Here's who we're looking forward to this afternoon. George Kaplan. He is our first witness who will be testifying under immunity. We want the tea. We want that tea. All right. All right, they're saying, all right, they just updated 9 seconds ago. The update is she was asked, you're a board certified forensic psychologist, right? Yes. This is on recross. So she's back with the prosecution. How many of those are there in New York State? I think about 40. They're trying to substantiate that she's, very skilled in what she does. That's great. That's cute. That's cute. All right, let's wrap it up. We want to hear from George. We've only got 40 minutes. Oh, we may not get to George today because usually they try to leave around 3. Hurry it up. Here we go. I'm going to put them captions on. And then we can play this. Come on. So the witness we're really excited about is George Kaplan. The reason we're excited about George is George is going to be the first witness that we know for sure is testifying under immunity. How do we know? Because this morning he came in pursuant to a subpoena. Unlike Miss Gina, who's behind is still missing, but he came in pursuant to the subpoena. While the jury was out, the judge had him come up there, and the prosecutor said, we want to confirm that you are planning to plead the 5th. He said, yeah, I'm pleading the 5th. So then the prosecutor says, all right, get the immunity agreement. Give it to him. And they made him read it, sign it. And what that shows is that, and a lot of witnesses don't realize when an immunity agreement is given to you, you don't have a choice. You have to testify. I'm sorry, a mosquito bit me on my chin and I keep itching. But an immunity agreement was given to him. When that happens, when you're given an immunity agreement, you have no choice. You have to testify. This guy continues to work in marketing, branding in those industries. He works for Diageo. He used to be Diddy's assistant from 2013 to 2015. That man does not want to be there. So this is going to be, I anticipate this will be some very interesting testimony because he don't want to be there. And whatever he's going to say or has the ability to say, the state apparently feels was so valuable that they were willing to give him immunity. That they don't want to go without it. All right, here we've got. All right, so she says she's one of only 40, the expert. We're back to the expert. She's saying she's one of only 40 certified forensic psychologists in New York State. And then on recross, this is probably about the last question for her. Defense asked her, your defense work is almost entirely for victims of DV, right? I'm not sure that's true. You worked with Mr. Brian Still. Oh, bitch. Y'all, you worked with Mr. Brian Still, who was defending a woman charged with reacting to DV, right? Yes. Okay. Where is my damn gavel? All right. Hey. Now I see what he's doing here. It looks like what went on. Y'all saw Brian Steele was added the week trial was starting. So more than likely what happened is this. Diddy's team did his research. They saw this lady was going to be a prosecution expert. They said, who do we know who's used her before? Oh, Brian. Oh, this was genius. Because Brian has used her before. He knows all the holes. And it was brilliant that they didn't have Brian Crosser because that would have been too easy. Taking candy from a baby. That man said, oh, this was clever, y'all. Now we're understanding why last minute certain people are getting added to Diddy's defense team. Those are people who have special inside tracks, inside information with respect to certain prosecution witnesses. Genius. Gosh darn genius. Well, ladies and gentlemen, what y'all think of that in the chat? Wow. Now it's making sense. Here we go. We're gonna update that. Hold on. We're gonna refresh it. Whoo, yeah. It's just so much. This is really putting me through a lot, y'all. Here we go. Here we go. All right. Let's do a refresh. That was genius. And I'm not going to give Diddy the credit. I'm going to give his legal team the credit, because we are the ones behind the scenes that secretly pull it all together. Here it goes. All right. It says, you worked. Make sure you guys can still see it. Hold on. There you go. I'm going to make it bigger. Sorry, guys. All right. It says, wait, I said, hold on. It says, but this is still all about Cassie. Wait, you said the prosecutor is now questioning her. The prosecutor was. Now it's back to cross. So on recross is what it's actually called. On recross. Hold on. On recross, it says, your defense work is almost completely for victims. And she says, I'm not sure that's true. Defense says you worked with Mr. Brian Steele, who was defending a woman charged with reacting to DV, right? Yes. And Mr. Steele decided not to use you after meeting with you. Judge, move on. No further questions. Next witness. The government calls George Kaplan. Oh. I don't know. I need to get my sound effects game back up, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm new to this YouTube game. I'm sorry. I gotta get my y'all. George Kaplan about to be in here. They ended on that. What? The T. We are coming to the T. It's like grilling an expert when most laymen understand. There we go. Oh my gosh. So we are getting white people love Trump. Somebody said black people love Diddy. Someone else said white people love Trump. What's the point? The case is not about Cassie, even though people keep saying it. They approved 2 of the 7, so this is irrelevant. Got it. George is up. Right. George is up. We are excited I am very excited. Remember, we care about George because George is our first immunity witness. This is our first witness. Okay, I ain't got no sound effects. But shake the lube. Y'all hear the lube going? Let's shake the lube. I ain't got no horn. Shake the lube. Can y'all hear that? I don't know if you can hear it. Can y'all hear me shaking the lube? Did y'all hear that? What's the statute of limitations for a slip and fall? It depends on the state. It depends on the state. For Texas, it's 2 years. You can just Google what is the personal injury statute of limitations. All right, we're starting with George. Shaking up the lube. Here we go. When did you work for Combs Enterprises? 2013 to 2015. What fell under that holding company? Clothing, liquor, entertainment. I was executive assistant to the CEO, Chief Operating Officer. Where did you work? 1710 Broadway. You guys, my heart is beating. Did y'all hear the lube sound? Do I do medical malpractice? Not anymore. But if it's a really strong one, I co-counsel on them. Okay, George Kaplan is Diddy's former assistant. He was a former assistant for Combs Enterprises from 2013 to 15. They subpoenaed him. He said he was pleading the fifth. Once he said that, they gave him an immunity agreement, which forced him to take the stand. He now owns his own business. In his own business, where he does marketing and partnerships and blah, blah, blah. in the same industry. So he wanted no part of having to testify that could in any way upset his business. He does marketing for Beats by Dre. He says for Diageo, which is the head company that owns Ciroc. So he's really not wanting to be here. But the way the immunity agreement works is if he gets up there lying, then they rip it up and he can be charged and be facing life just like Diddy. The smallest person in RICO can be charged just like the head honcho. We are still waiting for an update on this one. Child. So there is a lot at stake for this testimony. I'm not lying. What you think I'm lying about? I'm not talking about George Floyd. That is incorrect. It is George Kaplan. Someone is saying, full tang, Kid Cudi is after him. So Kid Cudi is tomorrow because they're not going to finish with this guy today. They usually wrap around 3:30. This guy 100% hates Diddy for dragging him into federal court. He's messing with his money. But hold on. Diddy has not asked this man to be here. Remember, the prosecution is putting on his case. That means everyone here for this first 4 weeks is prosecution. So everyone being called is only being subpoenaed and forced to be here, if by anyone, the prosecution. So that means it is the prosecution that sent him that subpoena and said, bring it on down. Now, we know, for example, the defense has subpoenaed Alex Fine. So we'll see if they want to call him. They want him to take the stand and talk about sending the threatening messages to Diddy, talking about I'm going to beat your tail. And Kid Cudi is testifying tomorrow. All right, let's get an update. George Kaplan matters. There's something this man knows that if they can get it out of them, they feel it is more valuable to have his testimony than to have him as a co-defendant. All right. So he started out as executive assistant to the chief operating officer, COO. Then it says, what was your next position? He says, executive assistant to the chairman, Mr. Combs, from September 2014 to September 2015. Who did you report to? Miss Coram, KK. She essentially ran Mr. Combs' life. Where did you report? LA. All right. Let me tell you something. KK is getting immunity or is getting charged. She's getting immunity or she's getting charged. I don't know. I want to know in the chat. What do y'all think? Do y'all think Miss Thing is getting immunity? Oh, and by the way, some people may not get immunity. Some people may be getting a plea deal. I want you to know they are not the same. This is really important, guys, as we're waiting for more chats to load. The difference is simple. The difference is this. Immunity says whatever you say, we're not going to press charges against you. A deal says whatever you say, the deal could even be you're going to get sentenced to probation. But it says we want something out of that behind. You got to give us something. So I say that to say, I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think Miss KK is going to get immunity or a deal? And that deal could be probation. The deal could be, hey, you could have been facing life. We're only going to go for 5 years. All I know is KK can't do time. She ain't the type. Hold on. I ain't got no bell. I'm going to jiggle the lube. Can y'all hear me when I jiggle the lube? I'm not sure. Y'all hear that? KK can't do no time. She's not that type of girl. I believe KK hired her own, and because each co-defendant has to have their own lawyer. And I think that she hired whoever hers is to ensure for as much as possible, she ain't going down. It says they asked him, what did you do? I carried his bags. I made such things where and when he wanted them. As he trusted me more, he had me around more. I'd set up hotel rooms. How many hours a week? 80 to 100 hours a week. How much did you get paid? $125,000 a year to start. Hold on, guys. That's a lot of money in 2014. That was when the economy was 2014. I was making around that. Was I? Oh no, I don't know. I have my own firm around there. He said he was making 125. That's a lot of money. You don't need with just a bachelor's degree. All right, we're gonna shake the lube on that one. What did you do in the morning? Make sure everything was in the bathroom, the breakfast was cooked. He was recording a mixtape, so we worked late. Interesting. Also, it's interesting that this gentleman made 125, but in 07, that guy, David, only made 70K. Very interesting. They leaving there with something. So here's who we got on the stand. We've got Indigo Girl, what you said? Wait. Allie said 125 to set up baby oil and lube. She said, where can I sign up? That's a good question. So who we have on the stand now, y'all, is George Kaplan, Diddy's assistant. He worked for Combs Enterprises for 2 years. He was Diddy's assistant from prior to that, he was KK's assistant. And then he was Diddy's assistant from 2014 to 15. He was subpoenaed to be here. He refused to testify, pleading the fifth. They gave him immunity agreement, whether he wanted it or not. He had to sign it, and he had to get his tail up on that stand, and he is there begrudgingly. He's still in the industry, has his own company. He is making a good amount of money, and he don't want his testimony here messing that up. And I don't blame him. While we're waiting for updated tweets, let's go back over his LinkedIn. So this is him. He looks like a cute little Jewish boy. I don't know if he is, but he looks like he like black girls. Don't you? You like black girls? Yes, you do. He like black girls. So there's that. We'll start there. And then George, it says that his industry is marketing and partnerships. He's a marketing and partnerships leader, building brands at the intersection of sports and entertainment. He says, I've developed media companies and intellectual property for sports and entertainment icons for 12 years. I've concepted and executed strategic initiatives for clients, including Epic Games, Marriott, Beats by Dre, Diageo. That's the company that owns, Ciroc and many, many other brands. Hold on. Let me go ahead and download this while I can, because this poor guy is probably about to be harassed. Bless his heart. I don't want that for him at all. His experience. Currently, for the last year, he is the vice president of marketing for a company called Super Plastic. Super Plastic is owner and creator of the world's first animated character universe, launched on social media with millions of followers on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. The company's top synthetic superstars appear in animated entertainment, music, gaming. Oh God, they make those fake influencers. Oh, that's fascinating. He previously worked for the Spring Hill Company as a senior brand director. Spring Hill's creative entertainment brand within the Spring Hill Company. Oh, founded by LeBron James and Maverick Carter. Oh, he's only there for 3 months. Hold on. Well, at least 3 months in that role. No, he was there for a number of years. Okay. He was there since 2021, working for LeBron James and Maverick Carter. Oh, I know. Oh, baby, that's why he's not there voluntarily. LeBron and them said, you stay away from that. We don't want no part of that. Get out from over there. We do not want anybody who's ever worked for us. Now, he's now at a different company, but they probably said, anybody who's worked for us, please don't go over there. Please don't be part of that, because we're going to get looped up into that and don't want to be. Don't want to be. We are still waiting for an update. Okay, now we got a little update here. AUSA, who is security? Uncle Polly, D-Rock, and Ruben. Later, licensed security was used in the second half of 2015. Licensed. That's really interesting. I'm just realizing that. He was using unlicensed security. Basically, that's why he was able to manhandle chicks and sling them around, and security wasn't intervening, such as when Cassie's mama talked about, I think it was D-Rock just standing there while she was like, D-Rock, you need to do something. And he was like, he just stood there. AUSA, how frequently did you communicate with Mr. Combs? Multiple times a day. Things could be found in the back, an iPad, substances, or whatever. Interesting. Things could be found in the bag. An iPad, substances. Y'all know what I'm saying. It's Instagram. I mean, this YouTube's. I got to say for Instagram or whatever. No, keep going. Don't you dare take no damn break. Keep going. You got me excited and I just started my stimulants. You can't stop. If you stop now, I won't be able to sleep and I've accomplished nothing. What does it say? Somebody said Chat GPT just said security team. Oh, this is going to be funny. Somebody just said, here is a plain English recap of this next testimony from Kaplan. This one's especially telling. What Kaplan just revealed, security team included these people, apparently not officially licensed at first. Only later in 2015 did they start using licensed security. Kaplan said he communicated with Combs multiple times a day. He added that things might randomly show up in the car or in a room, like an iPad or substances or whatever. Here's why this matters, according to ChatGPT. Unlicensed security could suggest an environment where rules and oversight were loose, a red flag for the prosecution. Agreed. I was just about to start talking about that, but let's see what ChatGPT says. It says Kaplan's frequent contact with Combs show he was constantly involved in the loop. And I don't know what that says in the bottom because screenshot. Okay. And then it says, all right, Ron DeSantis. I ain't never asked for that shit. Hold on. Get this off my, no. I'm sorry, guys. I don't want to search net for, and then it says Kaplan's frequent contact, the casual mention of substances or whatever. It says Kaplan's being positioned as a trusted insider who had eyes on everything. Correct. Possibly including things the public and the jury wouldn't personally associate with Combs. It's a powerful angle for the government. Yeah, I would agree with ChatGPT. I also think that the licensed and non-licensed security, here. Oh, we got him. We got one here. It says, did he threaten you, Kaplan? He threatened my job. How often? Maybe monthly. He'd say he was only to be surrounded by the best people and that he wasn't. For example, he went to me for a 1 liter water and I brought back 2 half liters. He said no. Oh, hold on. That wasn't as big as I thought it was going to be. How did you travel? On his jet or going in advance to make sure something's all set up? How did you set up hotel rooms? There was a bag. I unpacked it. Clothes, candle, Astroglide, baby oil. Who bought this? Often me. Sorry, I thought he was going to set up forced labor. When he was saying, did he threaten you? He threatened my job. But simply saying, if you're not doing a great job, I'm firing you. That's not forced labor. Or even if you say, hey, I need you to be up at this party 20 hours. That's not forced labor. Forced labor is if you say, if you don't do what I want, I'm going to make sure you don't ever work again in this industry. Or if you don't do, or telling him, I need you to take these steps. You need to take these substances so you can stay up like the rest of us. That is forced labor. Forced labor is where you use threats or coercion to make someone continue to work past what would be otherwise be like a fair, reasonable amount of time, basically. Basically, making someone do substances to perform work is absolutely forced labor. All right, let's keep it up. This is George Kaplan on the stand. He tried to plead the fifth, and they would not let him. They gave him immunity, which prevents you. If you have immunity, it takes away your right to plead the fifth. So he was stuck. He's been stuck like Chuck and had to come up here and testify. In what cities did you set up hotel rooms? LA, New York, Miami. In LA, Mr. C, Bel Air, the Intercontinental. Okay. In New York, the Trump by Columbus Circle. In Miami, in the SLS. Hold on. And then it says, how was it booked? Frank Black. Based on Biggie's Frank White. Y'all in the chat. Ooh, jiggle the lube, jiggle the lube, jiggle the lube. Doop, 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 doop. I got to get a real horn, y'all. Y'all in the chat, some of you jurors, y'all said it. Y'all said it, that Biggie was Frank White. And that's why he took Frank Black. Sure. So, okay, are you saying she was not threatened? I can't imagine being threatened with my job monthly. That would be hectic. So, yeah, someone in the chat said it. Doop, 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 doop. Doop, 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 doop. Y'all can hear it? Can y'all hear it? Jiggle the lube. Got the lube. Astro. Name brand. For you guys, only the best. For you guys, only the best. Biggie was Frank White. Jiggling. Can y'all tell me, can y'all hear it? Jiggle the lube. Anyway. There's no sanity clause. Him using Frank Black is also not a crime. It's not at all. You are right. It is not a crime. He's a celebrity that uses alias. That's not a crime. However, on medication, let me say this. He's also allowed to do that on medicine. That's an alias. When you're getting medication, you can use an alias, but what you cannot do is get other people to fill your prescriptions or have medication in other people's names. That is illegal, especially if it is a full bottle. It's a full bottle. Did you want some, Pretty Pink Survivor? It is not illegal to use an alias to get your prescriptions, because there were boxes that had Frank Black. That's to keep privacy. You know, you could be itching and burning. You could be having some chlamydia between your legs. Maybe you're a celebrity. You don't want people to know that you've got chlamydia. I wouldn't want people to know if I ever had chlamydia. And so you can do that, but you can't get something in someone else's name, especially if it is a Schedule 2 substance, which makes it a narcotic. That is because there are federal laws against that. And specifically, they have to be able to know if someone is abusing, especially opiates. And he would frequently get his opiates in. Sometimes he'd have workers do it. But hold on, we're going to do an update. This is what I'm thinking about, y'all. Y'all see this right here? Look very closely. This is how, y'all, this right here, what I highlighted, he always stays at the Trump Hotel. This how this man gonna get pardoned. I'm so sorry to say it. Put my face on the screen. Put my face on the screen. I got to tell it to you. I'm sorry to tell you. I think this may help him get pardoned, is that he used the Trump Hotel for his New York sexy parties. Why? Because the president is going to say, oh, it was railroaded. Oh, a good pardon team is going to be able to pull at our president doesn't necessarily have a heart, but pull at the narcissism strings of that gentleman, that orange man up top. I don't want it. I'm not praying for it. I hope it doesn't happen, but it just hit my mind. Yes, he has. Somebody said it. Diddy has spoken out against Trump. You know who else has spoken out against Trump? J.D. Vance. And who is he? He's the doggone vice president. He's the doggone vice president. So what that shows us is this man has a really short memory. If what has happened, yes, Miss O, you're right. Diddy has the orange man has a short memory if you're insulting him in the past. But if it is praise and dealing with his power, he up in that thing, boy. He wants to talk about it. He'll listen to you. So I just had to say, no, that's why I highlighted these references to the T Hotel, as we see here. That could be that man's route to freedom. And I hate to say it. Now, the orange man is going to allow this trial to go through. I think, and he might let him sit there for a little while. But I think right before he comes out of office, bam, and the world will, because what he's going to want, the orange man will want the world to be in shambles as he leaves office. He'll want to set that bitch on fire. Here we go. How did you travel? And what cities were the hotel rooms set up? All right. Then they ask him. Next up, how would you clean up the rooms? Yes. Bottles of baby oil, Gatorade. You want to stay hydrated. He said, I want you glistening and hydrated. Once brown crystallized powder on the counter of the bathroom sink. Why did you clean up and not the hotel staff? It was implied to protect his public image. I was keen on doing that. Earlier today, in the first video that I did today, in the videos yesterday, multiple people said, hey, y'all had questions about RICO and at Enterprise. One of the questions, good question being, but he's not getting he's not doing this for financial benefit. Remember, I said it was about his brand. It was about his image. And boom, this witness just confirmed and provided testimonial evidence. Because to prove up RICO, you don't have to show that he was benefiting financially. By doing things that help his public image, that then helps him get more money out there. Explain. He says, why'd you clean up? Not the hotel staff. It was implied to protect his public image. I was keen on doing that. Explain. Objection. Overruled. I found hotels would sell photos to newspapers to shame guests. Did he reach out to you from the room? Yes, for food, clothes, sometimes substances. And I did it. What substances? DOP kit. What the hell is a DOP kit? I'm sorry. I'm not cool. DOP kit. What's that? All right. What does a DOP kit mean? It includes, DOP kit is a small toiletry bag used for storing hygiene items for track. Oh, a detergent bag. Okay, whatever. Let's keep moving. A DOP kit, he said. Illegal substances. I object to the term illegal. What other substances? He says Advil and the K word, the big K. The K word that literally is a horse tranquilizer. What's he asked for? I picked up substances for him, MDMA. Who asked? Mr. Combs in LA and Miami. Mr. Combs asked me to call a person. He came and gave me a bag of pills, MDMA. I gave him cash. I gave the pills to Mr. Combs. And in LA, I went out and I met the person in Hollywood. I gave him money. He gave me a bag. There you go, guys. What else we got here? Shaking the lube. Shaking the lube. You all hear the lube noises? What else? This testimony is substantiating, I think it was letter H of the indictment, racketeering charges. H was distribution of substances. Distribution of narc substances. He's substantiating this. Now we see why this gentleman said, I'm not coming here voluntarily. You better give me immunity. Tracy said, hey, Tracy, so good to see you. Tracy said, now this is an enterprise. Yes, now we see why, oh boy, shake that lube, shake that lube, shake that lube, shake that lube, with the jail cell behind me. Now we see it's an enterprise. Yes, now we see why he wanted immunity. George Kaplan, who is currently on the stand, Diddy's assistant from 13 to 15. He worked for Combs Enterprises 13 to 15 and from 14 to 15 directly with Diddy. He is testifying that he obtained substances for him. What he is substantiating is that this enterprise was doing criminal activities. That's what we're getting here, guys. That is another item that is substantiated under RICO. What parts is stretched, Chadry? Help us out here. Kimberly Will, Symone. Isn't Dum Dum's lawyer same one that backed Orange Pills and the Call Girl lawsuit? Yes, correct. One of the lawyers, yes. In the Stormy, yes. In the Stormy one, that is correct. All of that, he's bringing these people in to win favor with the Orange Man. With the Orange Man. The only thing we can hope for is that he at least sit down, as in Diddy, sit down toward the end, that he does not wait till the end of his term to pardon him. We don't know. It doesn't matter, because here's the thing, because we know, so usually presidents wait till the end of their term to pardon, but when they're on their second term, because you can only run 2 times, really a pardon could come at any point due to the fact that there's no risk that someone won't get reelected, because you can't get reelected. So yes, that is correct. There is that tie there. Why can't folks type in all capital letters if they want? It just sounds like yelling when you do an all capital. Has RICO already been proven? I believe yes. Since we only needed 2 out of it, Sandra, yes, I've gone over this list. What we've seen, the ones that I believe that we have seen evidence of are the transportation for prostitution. We've had multiple S workers up there and talk about all they needed was 2 different states of people doing it to each other in. That's happened. Distribution of substances. Them giving it to Diddy, and it was a bunch of pills, and then Diddy having them available at the parties. That's all it needed. Then bribery. Day 1, hotel, video gone missing. That was bribery. Day 1, tampering with witnesses. The witnesses being those who worked at the hotel who were aware of the video and making the video go missing. So that's at least 4 there. I think we're going to see more forced labor. I think tomorrow, Kid Cudi's going to get up there, and that's going to support arson. And we'll see what else. But correct. All right, let's get an update. Oh, we'll break for the day. Okay. So they tapped out with, in Miami, Mr. Combs asked me to call a person. He came, gave me pills, MDMA. I gave him cash. And in LA, I went out. I met the person in Hollywood, gave him money. They gave me a bag. The judge says they're going to break for the day. Yes. In conclusion, has RICO been proven? Hey, guys, I have to say, in my legal opinion, yes. It is just really, really easy. And this is not me. This is just me going by the legal analysis of what had to be proved. The enterprise part was really easy because it's an enterprise, Sean Combs. So with RICO, if you have an existing enterprise, all you have to show is that staff of that enterprise were instructed to carry out unlawful activities. That's what this guy's doing on a continuous basis. That's what today's testimony did. That's what got us there. Hit that like and hit that subscribe, guys. We are almost, let me see where we're at. Let's see where we're at with the subscriptions. Let's see. We're almost there. We're doing good. Oh, did we get to 52,000? You guys got me to 52,000 subscribers. Let's see if we can get to 55,000 by the end of the month. I think we can do it if we work together. But yes, today's testimony was super critical. It really helped get us there. Someone said, this ain't no UISL. Listen, Danny, let me tell you, this case is easier to prove up than the YSL RICO. Let me tell you why. We already know there's an enterprise. With YSL, it was kind of like some homeboys doing stuff. Sean Combs Enterprises is an enterprise. So that means all they had to be able to add to it is that at least some of the time on a fairly regular basis, regular meaning it can't just be like one time in 09, another time in 13, but on a fairly regular basis, Diddy was ordering people or instructing people to do things that were unlawful. That's it. Oh, there's an update. Hold on. That's why I'm not getting off this page, baby. Got an update. All right, let's see what we got. Well, wait, there's more. Agnafilo, the proffered email chain is about Gina, and Gina is out of the case. She's not coming. She's in the indictment. They could get her here, and they're choosing not to, the defense says. I'll submit a letter by 10 p.m. All right. The court sent a letter related to a letter from the regarding parties and other issues. Parties should docket them by next week. I don't care nothing about that. All right. I don't care about that. Gina ain't coming. Gina was paid off. Let me remind you. Okay, AUSA, and then it's confirming. Tomorrow, Kid Cudi. Be right here in the morning. I'm going to be here in the morning. Rise and shine. I'm not playing around, okay? I'm going to start at 8:30. We're going to go ahead. We're going to start early. Let me clarify this. Here's what's going on with Gina. I know this from first. I have told this through firsthand experience. I cannot tell you from who. So allegedly, what Diddy was doing with those who had pending civil suits that were on the list with the prosecution, he was offering them each settlements. Here's how this, you need to see my face. So somebody wants to clip this, go ahead, clip it, but you're going to clip it with my face in it. So I give my credit. All right. What Diddy was doing, those, not all of them, like not all of them, but certain ones that he said, I don't want you up there. He was offering certain people that have pending civil suits, not Dawn, but certain other ones. He was saying, I will settle with you. But the terms of the settlement, he would give them a little bit of money now. The rest of the money would be paid upon the date of the verdict. It will be paid after the date of the verdict. What you think finna happen? You think that doesn't put something in the mind of that person? Listen, Gina, I'm gonna put Gina. Let me put Gina on the screen. You need to see Gina. Y'all need. You think that? How would you feel? You got $10 million but you know you're only gonna get $500 or maybe only $100,000 right now. $100,000 right now, and then you're gonna get $9,900,000 after the date of conviction. And then guess what? What happens if they don't honor it? Oh, you keep going to court? Keep going to court? Nothing. You keep having to fight it. That's all. You keep having to fight it. That ain't no fun. Let me get Gina. Gina's pissing me off. But let me show you. Gina got a kid. And Gina has no skill set. Gina has no, I don't know. Tell me if I'm wrong. But from what I can tell, she has no talent and she has a kid to take care of. Here we go. She ain't got no skills. She's sitting up there. She said, wait a minute, I got to do this for my baby. And she was never, that girl, the way she loved that man down. Look, if you let this man knock the baby out of you and still take him back, that should have been who that lady, that expert was testifying about. It should have been her right there, where that lady on the stand today, expert, whatever that lady's name is. That's who she should have been talking about, was Gina. Hold on, I'm going to put Gina on the screen. I need y'all to, Gina. So basically what the defense is going to call for is that the second count of S-trapping be dismissed. And the truth is, it's going to have to be dismissed. Can't prove something if the witness ain't showing up. You got to dismiss that count. That would mean the only way to prove up S-trafficking would be via Cassie. That's what that would mean. Here go Miss Thing. Here she go right here. Says, boy, poor Gina getting dragged. Question, can Diddy actually pay all this and the prosecution wipes out his bank account? Hold on one second. I'm going to answer that. Let me make this a little bigger. I want everyone to see Gina and her titties or whatever she's got for the world to see. Can Diddy pay all of this and the prosecution wipes out his bank account? So what happens is, as it relates to legal expenses, so even if there's a freeze, what you can do is you can petition the judge basically to allow you to access funds for legal reasons. And there could be motion practice going back and forth. But at the end of the day, one thing you have a right to is to put on a vigorous legal defense. So even when they seize your funds, if you say, but I need these for court, civil or criminal, then the judge will permit it. So hold on. So I hope that answers your question. I need you. So this is Miss Thing. This is Miss Gina, who ain't coming back. She took the money and ran. And I'm going to guess that it was probably around 10 million. But Gina's kind of stupid. So it actually might not have even been 10 million. Oh, she done took down a picture of her daughter. Here you go. This is why she's running. This is why I think she's gone. Her and that daughter. If the daughter is gone too, she ain't coming back. So this was her. This was 2020 with the daughter. The daughter, Cutie Pie, looks to be maybe 7 or 8. I don't know. She's Asian. She could be 10. They age very gracefully. So then the daughter now is about 15. If that 15-year-old ain't in school, if that little girl is not at the schoolhouse, look how cute. Look how cute she is. If that 15-year-old is not at the schoolhouse, oh, they on the run, baby. Anybody know them? Know their daughter? I don't know. Maybe y'all go to school with their daughter. If that little girl ain't at the schoolhouse, they are on the run. You hear me? Run, run, Diddy. In her October 20, whatever. Let me see. Hold on. It says new life. October 2024 says new life. She gone. But they talked to her. Mariana said, call CBS. Y'all don't call CBS. I'm not telling you call CBS. I'm not telling you to do that. That lady is back to Vietnam. She went back to Vietnam. I think that's what type of Chinese she is. I mean, what type of Asian she is. Hong, I'm pretty sure that's Vietnamese. She is, that money will go real far in her home country. I mean, she's American probably. But, Jesus. Somebody said she go with Chris Brown. She can't get him out. Chris Brown, it just lost over 30 million. Somebody said on the run. Ivan Curry, they could really move that money. Why? I'm going to make sure I get these questions answered. I mean, this is just... Says Gina is a fool to be playing with the feds. Honey, they're going to get her. Let me see. Is there an extradition treaty? There has to be an extradition treaty with Vietnam. We've done so much for them. Extradition. Let's see. Yes, you can get extradited from there. It generally requires reciprocity and doesn't extradite Vietnamese citizens. I don't know if she has dual citizenship. They're not gonna let America extradite her. It says Vietnam. I'm just assuming Vietnam because she's Vietnamese. Vietnam has legal framework for both requesting and complying with extradition requests, but it generally requires one reciprocity and does not extradite Vietnamese citizens. Why she took that millions, those millions, bought herself some Vietnamese citizenship if she didn't already have it? I mean, it's probably pretty easy to get, considering no one wants it. And then she said, I'm Vietnamese now. Y'all can make me go back. Child. And then let me see. What about Thailand? Thailand has extradition. Okay, so don't go over there. And then Bali. I'll be honest. She'll do really good over there in Thailand because she look like everybody else. So would nobody know? Bali, part of India, does not have formal extradition. Child. Gina is gone. Yeah. So that means at most he's facing 1 count, not 2, of S trafficking. That just means that like they wouldn't be able to stack the 2 charges on top of himself. But it's unusual they stack. It's more usual that your sentence would just be concurrent, meaning you really just serve time for whatever the longest of all the sentences that you're facing would be. Wow. Ooh, what a day. What a day. All right. Thank you, Scorpio Man, for that Scorpio Moon for that super chat. Victoria, thank you so much for the super sticker. Oh, thank you, Desiree Martin, for joining as a member. Why didn't the feds get a stronger prosecutor? I think it's a whole team. Remember, it's a 6-pack of white women. So I can't say, but I think they're doing a good job. They're doing a pretty decent job. It is a fair fight. I'll say that. So are you going to victim shame Gina? They can track her and subpoena her to court. That is correct. It's not over with regards to her. So are you going to shame Gina? So is she a victim or not? I hadn't heard her testimony, so I don't know if Gina's a victim. Just because you listed an indictment does not mean you're a victim. But I think Gina is not Gina is an unwise person. Because how you go on Tasha K, tell all that business, and then go back to that man? Oh, I know that. Well, I guess that's where the expert would say it was part of the whole coercion. Why hasn't Russell been extradited? I just put Bali on there. Bali doesn't have extradition, so that would be part of it. Also, I don't know that Russell has any criminal charges yet or pending. Now, what would have to, he might be under a sealed indictment, but as of now, we got less than 1,000 likes. So we got 4,000 here. Please, y'all, hit that like. This is what supports the channel and allows them to recommend the video to others. But also hit that subscribe. We want to really, if everyone on here, honestly, subscribes and I can get to the goal, we can get to our monthly goal, which would be amazing. It says Gina probably wasn't involved in the FOs. You know what? I think she probably was, because there was such a, it seems like there was a real competition between Cassie and Gina. And I think they were both out there doing nasty stuff together. Hey, V. Lenore, thank you so much. Thank you, Bree Smith, subscribed and liked. I really appreciate that. It says Russell ain't never coming back. Russell's not coming back either, because I don't think Russell has access to that much money anymore. And people who were that powerful, they don't want to come back to America and be regular citizens like us. He can live very lavishly where he's at, and then people ain't going to bother him. So, yeah, I think you're right, and I think we're not going to see him for a good little minute. Now, what I am trying to put up real quick, many of you have asked, there we go. Child, let me load this.
Trial, remember?
Hold on.
Yeah.
And let me tell you.
Hold on. This is a little treat for you guys. So we've done the coverage. If you were in the live yesterday, I had talked about, I've told various stories about my father. This is Mr. Redwine here on the screen. And my dad is an old school. He's an OG. He's the first person whose record I'd ever expunged. I was very, very proud of him. And anything that I discuss with respect to my father's statute of limitations has expired. So don't think I'm just out here, telling personal business. But people had asked, they said they wanted to hear, I asked my dad, what would he do in the situation of Cassie and her family? Specifically, what really stuck with me was how her parents mortgaged their house to give that man $20,000. I told the story about how my father's an old school G, and there was a situation where one of our relatives was a woman, and she was getting knocked upside the head by the man that she was dating. And my dad's thing is, he'll come and save you one time, but if you're planning on taking this person back, don't bother him, because his name is Rocky for a reason. They call him Rocky because nobody could fight better than him in the hood. Anyway, I told the story of how, this female relative had said she was getting knocked around, and he said he was going to come help her. This was like in the 70s, I believe. And the guy knocked her around to where he got arrested. Now, back in that day, it was rare that men would get arrested for doing that, and even more rare that they would be arrested for doing it to a black woman. This was in Nebraska, so they really didn't care about us. They didn't care about black on black crime. So what he ended up doing, I'm setting this up because I'm then going to tell you, I'm going to play for you what he said he would do if he had been Cassie's daddy. Okay. In the situation of the relative, she said she wanted to leave him. He said, go ahead, pack all your stuff up. I'm going to drive up there. My daddy drove to Nebraska to go rescue her. When he drove there, he didn't go to her house. She was at the apartment, packed everything up. The dude was in jail for whooping off on her. He drove to the jail, bailed the man out. The man was profusely thanking daddy. Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you so much, Rocky. You know how your relative gets. She just talked too much. She run her damn mouth. He was so happy. He was elated. And then the story is, daddy then drove past the apartment, drove him into the woods, beat the living crap out of him. Now, there's a version of the story where he also took his clothes. He didn't leave him booty butt naked, but he took his clothes and he left him with underwear only in the wilderness. And then proceeded to drive to the relative's house, pack up all her stuff, because then he knew he could pack it up in peace. He wouldn't have to worry about this man rolling up on him if the man had been bailed out. But also he figured, before I whoop your tail, I'm going to bail you out, because that way if you call the police and tell the police that I almost killed you, like I'm finna do, they're not going to believe you, right? Who bails someone out to whoop their ass? a crazy person, a nut, a person who fears God only and not the U.S. government. Okay. That's what he established. Furthermore, if you were to call the police and tell the police, oh man, this man beat me up so bad, they say, why'd he beat you up? And you say, well, I knocked I knocked his relative in between the washer and dryer. Then the police will look at him and be like, well, I'd beat you up too. And would nobody care? See, booty butt naked in the woods. So that's just an example of how his mentality works. Here is what Daddy said he would do if he was Cassie's daddy.
You about this testimony.
Oh, and by the way, this is Daddy. This is Christmas. Daddy was giving me a taser. He bought me a taser for Christmas. So he's very proud of it. He said, show everybody, take this, put this on your Facebook, put this on the internet, show the people that I got you a taser so they better not be effing with you. Today from Cassie's mama. Okay. You got a minute?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like, her daddy must, I don't know, I'm thinking her daddy must be the size of a pinky finger or something. But I feel like it's certain girls you meet, when you meet their dad, you're like, oh no, I can't knock this one around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, so today, okay, so she talked about the whole 11 years, basically, at least 9 of the years, at least, he was knocking around, beating her real bad, this, that, and the third. And she had testified that she finally like told her mom, and the mom had asked her like, how many times has this happened before? And she said this was the first time. It's some lie like that, whatever. And I said, ain't no way my daddy would go for that. You'd be asking some questions. Hell, you'd be like, okay, it's time to dump him.
Yeah.
Somebody said this.
You ain't doing nothing now. Dump him, we find you somebody else. Sign up somebody else.
Right. Sign up somebody else. So here's what happened. So her mama today took the stand. Okay. And now her mom and daddy are still married. So, that means her daddy is still in her life. Mama got on the stand. She said she gets this email. It was Christmas Eve. Cassie was supposed to be like on the plane on the way there. Christmas Eve, mama gets the email. That in the email message says, Mom, Sean is threatening to release a sex tape with me on it and embarrass me publicly. He, in the email, said he was threatening to release it on Christmas Eve and then release another one shortly thereafter if her parents didn't pay him money.
Blackmail him. Yeah.
Blackmail, right? Blackmail. So then she lands, she get on mama daddy house, right? Christmas Eve.
Mm-hmm.
Black and blue everywhere. Bruises, black and blue. He done tore her up. Daddy, what would you do if I showed up like that on Christmas Eve?
I'd be looking for him for certain.
Right?
Be looking for him. Yeah, you don't waste no time. Yeah, you be looking for him. You be filing charges. And then as soon as police got there, you beat the shit out of him in front of the police.
There you go. In front of the police. Beat the crap out of him.
That's a whole lot of stuff you would do. You just don't know how bad you're going to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. But wait a minute. So here's what she did. Here's what happened. So Cassie sends that message. Daddy, do you know Diddy then sends her mama an email that says, your daughter owes me $20,000. I need to recoup $20,000 because she started dating this other rapper named Kid Cudi. And as a result of her dealing with Kid Cudi, I've experienced losses. Daddy, do you know her mama and daddy mortgaged their house to get the $20,000 and wired it to Diddy? Oh wait, he ain't done, y'all. Daddy, what would you have done?
I wouldn't have wired no money. I wouldn't have did shit, just looking for him and tell him, come get it. I got it here waiting on you.
That's right. You're gonna tell him, come get it.
If he came, he'd be too scared to come. I said, come get it. And if he sent someone, I'd beat the shit out of whoever he sent.
You got to. Wait, here we done.
Better still just turn it over to the police for blackmail.
Oh, I was hot for her mother.
Well, after the first time, it wouldn't have gone that long. It wouldn't have got that deep, and you wouldn't letting your daughter get involved. And if she's dating somebody who's supposed to be managing her career, that's
Daddy is right.
Out of it. It wouldn't have got this far in about a long time ago.
Wait. 11 years. They were together 11 years. And the other thing is, after the day my daddy gets triggered, watch. On me, are y'all gonna let me keep dating that boy?
No. That's just like I told your mama, big boy can't come back to this house again because I'm gonna hurt him.
Who is that?
And that nigga you brought over here talking about he's a big boy or fuck boy or whatever.
Oh, So wait, when my first came over, he was telling my parents how he used to be an F boy. But I don't know, maybe he was, I don't know what's wrong with him. Maybe he was raised by wolves. He didn't have sense enough to call himself an F boy. He kept saying the word. And my parents are real Christians. So my daddy was looking at me like, what the hell is wrong with you? Who did you bring up in my house? Like, this happened this year. Oh, yeah, that was.
Yeah, because if he does, I'm gonna fuck him up.
Oh, I don't blame you. Yeah. He not very smart.
Nobody. And I don't know why he got what made him think he can use those words in my house.
Yeah, that was weird.
Over and over again. And you know, he's a person that, you know, no, he can't come back. He landed on my porch. I'm gonna whoop his ass on the porch. Mom said, "Yeah, you ain't gonna do nothing." I said, "Well, if he comes to my house."
Dude is 40, my daddy is 70.
I said, he gets fucked up, period. No, you see, a person like him is just like Diddy.
You think so?
Hell yeah, you gotta fuck him up right off the bat.
Oh.
Somebody buying that shit. That's why them girls didn't want to come nowhere near him when he was telling that story. I'm sitting there listening. I said, man, they done already figured your game out. And she stood you up. He talking about how he sit there. He went on with his story.
Oh, he was telling some story about how he used to be like a narcissist.
I already figured you
He
out.
used to be a narcissist. He's not anymore.
No more.
And my dad was like, he's full of it.
She told him she ain't never gonna come back around him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he don't have no daddy, so that's why I think he don't know how to act.
Well, he'll learn how to act after he gets his ass beat one or two times.
That's true.
And his mama ain't got sense, apparently.
Okay, all right, okay.
Whatever the fuck.
Okay, we're gonna fast forward through that part. We don't want this on the screen. All right, so you get the gist. So my dad is basically like, daddy got activated. Daddy got activated. And I'm talking about, this is one of my like 40-some-year-old friends that came by the house. And daddy was like, he can't come by the house no more because he don't know how to act. And it like, so Diddy's triggered him for him to tell me I can't even bring certain people by the house no more. So I just say that to say, Diddy is targeted for being a powerful black man. Who is next? That's one way to look at it. But yeah, so my dad is real. So I just tell you that. And on that note, we will conclude the live. Thank you guys. Hit that subscribe button. Let's see if we can reach that goal of 55,000 by the 31st. I think we could do it together. Put any questions that you have in the chat. Put those questions in the chat. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'm going to be here bright and early at 8:30. I want to hear every word. Tomorrow is the rest of George Kaplan and Kid Cudi. Y'all take care. It's your legal bestie, Attorney Symone.